If you have a hard time falling asleep every night, you're definitely not alone. This used to happen to me all the time. I would lay down at maybe 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and I literally would not fall asleep until 2, 3, sometimes even 4 o'clock in the morning. I got so sick and tired of not being able to fall asleep, I spent a couple weeks trying to figure out all these techniques and tricks that I could use to help me fall asleep faster. And luckily, I ended up finding things that help me fall asleep in 10 minutes or less. And I use this almost every single night. My name's Steven Taylor, and this is my channel. I'm sharing anything and everything I'm doing to help improve my life and grow into the best version of myself that I can. And in return, I'm hoping it helps you. In this video, I'm sharing 6 techniques that I use every single night that help me fall asleep faster. And stay tuned because at the end of the video, I'm sharing 2 extra bonus tips I just started doing that I've noticed have helped as well. So let's get into it. Tip number 1 is to reduce the blue light on your phone and all of your devices as early as you can into the evening. If you can dim the lights around your house as well, this also helps. On your phone and on your computer, you should have a setting where you could turn off the blue light and it'll make all of the colors in your phone basically orange, the same way that blue light glasses exist. They block out that blue light and they start helping you produce more melatonin. They help you relax more. They give your eyes a break and it helps you get your mind ready to fall asleep at night. Tip number 2 is always to take a hot shower, probably about an hour or 2 before you fall asleep. This helps you regulate your body's temperature and helps you cool down faster before you fall asleep. And then also too, it's just incredibly relaxing to take a shower right before bed. Tip number 3, definitely my favorite. If you keep your AC down in the 60s at night and you make sure your room is nice and cool, it's so much easier to fall asleep. A lot of people will complain about having to spend the extra money on the AC bill, but ultimately, if you saw the difference between sleeping in like 75-degree temperatures all the way down into like the low 60s, you will always sleep better in the cold. Tip number 4 is so easy, and I've done this for so many years, but just sleep naked. The more fabric I have on me and the more chance I have of things getting bunched up and feeling weird, the harder it is for me to fall asleep. I almost always sleep the best when I'm wearing absolutely nothing and I've got the least amount of friction on any part of my body. And then on top of that, if you make sure your sheets are washed probably once a week, it'll help you sleep a lot better too. Tip number 5. This one varies a lot, but ultimately I like to stay away from coffee after 12 or 1 o'clock every day. It's so easy for me to be overstimulated, and even if I have a coffee at, let's say, like 3 o'clock, I will feel that coffee all the way up until I fall asleep at night. So some people this works fine with, but I've always noticed that whenever I drink coffee in the afternoon, it affects my sleep 9 times out of 10. And tip number 6. 6, I would say this works the best if all the other techniques are not working and you're laying in bed and you have a hard time falling asleep. So when I lay in bed, if I start slowing my breath down intentionally, as slow as I possibly can, in and out, and I keep on doing this, I usually forget that I'm even doing it because I end up falling asleep halfway through the breathing technique. So basically, as you're falling asleep, you're just taking a longer inhale and then a longer exhale out. And if you keep on doing this again and again and again, it's going to slow your heart rate down and it's going to make it a lot easier for you to fall asleep, and it should calm down your mind as well. To anyone that's watched all the way through, I appreciate you. Sleeping does not have to be that hard, and there's a lot of easy ways that you can actually fall asleep. And the 2 extra bonus tips I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I'm going to share with you now. I started using this one about a week or 2 ago, and I noticed that every single night I do this, it's just so much easier for me to fall asleep. And it's one of those things I thought was kind of gimmicky, but it's actually worked really well. And that is aromatherapy. So basically, it's essential oils, and I would stick them inside of an essential oil diffuser. And what it would do is it would make my whole room just start to smell like these amazing essential oils. And some of these ones, like this one here specifically, this is not sponsored, but this one is called Sleep. And this one just immediately puts my head in the headspace of like falling asleep because it just smells so good. And the smell is just something that just triggers my brain to think about sleep. Last but not least is something that's called Kratom. This is something that's legal all over here in Florida. And there's a couple different bars a couple blocks away from me that serve it as a tea. And basically what it does is it puts me into a good mindset. It helps me relax, and it's got different effects depending on which one you get. But I always notice right before bed when I've been drinking it, it's so much easier to fall into like a dream state and just pass out much quicker. It's no surprise that we're totally overstimulated as a society, and especially when we've got our smartphones, we've got all these things that give us dopamine, and we've got all sorts of stimulants. It's really, really challenging to get your head into a space to be able to pass out right away when you get to bed. But hopefully if you use a couple or all of these tips and tricks, it can help you fall asleep a lot faster. It definitely works for me, so I hope you give it a try. I appreciate you guys for watching as always, and stay tuned because I've got another video coming out tomorrow again.